Good morning, everyone. Jessie here with another episode of Simplicity Made Simple. Today, I am talking to you guys about closet organization. So, my closet used to be a disaster. Now, I admit this was a while ago. This is something that I've been working on for quite some time because I've been doing it in stages, and every once in a while, I just feel the need to revisit some of it. But that still means that it went from being a messy disaster where I just kind of like shoved everything in there and closed the doors and hoped the next time I opened it, there wouldn't be an avalanche of stuff, to being organized, to actually having some white space inside so that it doesn't feel claustrophobic. And it's something that I'm not afraid to open, which seems like a really simple thing, but closets are a really easy space to overstuff because we can close them. So whether we're cleaning our homes for our own sake or whether we're preparing to have people over or what, our closets tend to be kind of a catch-all. We put more stuff in them than they're actually designed to hold. And we like to just kind of brush things under the rug in the proverbial sense by just tucking more things into the closet because it can be out of sight, out of mind once we close those doors. But I want to encourage you guys to pay attention to how your closets are organized because they can serve you better that way. Your closet is not meant to be a black hole of chaos. It's meant to store things. And the best way to utilize closet space is to store things in an organized manner so that you can find what you're looking for. Because we've all been there when we go to a place, whether it's a closet or a drawer or a dresser or whatever, we've gone to a place to look for something specific and we can't find it because there's so much other stuff in the way. And we get frustrated the longer it takes, and it's just annoying as all get out, and we get really riled up because we can't find that dang thing we're looking for. What helps is having an organized approach to storing our possessions. And yes, that starts with decluttering and getting rid of the excess stuff, because the less stuff you have, the easier it will be to store and organize the remaining things. It will look prettier, it will stress you out less, it will take less time because you're not constantly moving things out of the way to get to other things. You won't have to take care of as much stuff. You won't have to, launder as much clothing. You won't have to worry about restocking as many products, whatever that means for you. So I want you to consider not using your closet as a black hole or just kind of like a place where you can stuff everything and just have it out of sight, out of mind. Now, we've all probably done that from time to time, and I realize that's a realistic thing. If people are coming over and you just need to tuck the basket of laundry away, or like a bag that was laying out on the floor or whatever, short term, that's probably going to happen, but I want you to get into a rhythm of keeping your closet clean, and that starts with doing the initial clean out. So again, that's going to be decluttering your space. I recommend taking everything out, laying like things together so that you can see exactly how much stuff you have in those specific categories. When things are spread out, we can't see that we have 12 gray sweaters or 27 scarves or whatever. Like, if they're spread out all over the place, we're probably not going to notice how many of one kind of thing we have. But when we put like things together, we can see where we have excess. So then you do that and you go through those piles and you get rid of the things that you no longer use or love, the things that aren't currently serving you. And I'm giving you permission to let go of your what if I need this down the line kind of mentality, because you can always get it again. And you're probably not going to miss it. I hardly ever, almost never miss things that I get rid of. So consider that. But go ahead and get rid of the excess things, and then you'll be ready to organize what's left. And that's where we're going to focus our time today. I just want to upfront say that there are many ways to do this. This is my way of doing it. I've done it differently in the past too. It depends on the way you're wired. It depends on your preferences. It depends on the space that you're working with. So think about some of those things. I'm working with my own bedroom closet, which has sliding doors. If you have doors that open towards you, that's going to be a little bit different. If you have a walk-in closet, that's going to be quite a bit different. If you're working with like a linen closet type closet, obviously that's different too. So consider the space that you're working with. Consider what you already have. I recommend trying to use what you have before you go out to the store and buy new things, because that's just more stuff to be filling your home with. So see what you can do with what you already have, and let's get started with a quick little tour while I show you what has been working well for me. So on the side of my closet, I have some fabric totes. These are the like reinforced kind that have a solid bottom, and they work really well for large or bulky items. So in this one, I have sweatshirts. There are like 4 or 5 of them just folded up in there, and that's a much more convenient way for me to store them instead of hanging them, because they're so bulky. They take up way too much space if I hang them. So that is how I like to store my sweatshirts. These are bags like purses and my computer bag and duffel bag. Those kinds of things are in there. And then I have running clothes for the winter, because that's a small portion of the year. So anything that I don't use regularly, I want in a higher place or in a lower place, basically, not prime real estate. So the bulk of my closet is devoted to pieces that I use more regularly for a longer portion of the year. So things like running clothes that I use for maybe 4 months out of the year, I wanted stored up higher so that I can devote more of the main space, more of the convenient space, to things that I use, 9, 10, 12 months a year. So then I have this hanger that's specially made for scarves. It has a bunch of different holes on here. And a good rule of thumb is that if your stuff starts exceeding the space that you have for it, start getting rid of stuff before you get bigger containers or bigger spaces, if that makes sense. So like this scarf hanger, for instance, has a specific number of holes in it for scarves. And once I fill all of those spaces, that is my maximum number of scarves that I allow myself to have. So if I buy another one, then I have to get rid of one. And it's just a good way to maintain kind of a one in, one out rule, or just make sure that I'm not being excessive with anything that I have in my home. And I have a belt rack over here that also I think works for ties, but I don't have any ties. That's just really helpful to keep those kinds of things organized so that they don't get bent or lost. I love my hanging cube organizer. It's super helpful. I have tank tops rolled up on the top because I use them all the time, and then they don't like stretch out the straps being hung up. And I have all my sweaters so that they also don't get stretched out or get those weird shoulder bumps from being on a hanger. And some of them are really bulky, so it also helps to have them folded instead of hung up, taking up extra space. And that practice was really helpful when I had a small closet, but it's also helpful when you have a large space. So maybe it would be helpful to pretend you have less space than you actually do and see what happens with that. This bin is kind of miscellaneous right now. I'm still working on it, so this tag isn't labeled, but that's something that has been really helpful for me, is labeling my containers so that I know what's in everything without having to take it down to see every time. And you could always use clear containers, but depending on what you're putting in them, that may or may not be aesthetically pleasing. I like the gray bins with just a simple tag and writing what's inside. This is my dedicated white space. This is almost always, if not always, empty, and it just kind of brings me some mental peace of mind to have that white space, because physical clutter breeds mental clutter. So not having every square inch of your space stuffed actually helps you breathe a little bit better and stress less. So I highly recommend having some space in your closet that isn't stuffed, because it makes you feel like you're in control and your stuff is not controlling you. So I like having a little bit of white space. There's a little wicker basket back there that has hats, but otherwise this is, these are all my shirts. dresses, skirts. I like them organized by color just because I think it's pretty, but you can do it however you like. I do recommend having one type of hanger because it makes things more organized, less stressful. It just kind of unifies everything, which is really helpful, and it's a super easy way to do it. These are just basic plastic hangers. I just decided to do white, and it simplified everything. And then what you probably can't see super well is the bottom of my closet where I have a shoe rack. And I kind of applied the same logic to my shoe rack as I did with that scarf organizer. I have room for only so many pairs of shoes. So if my shoes don't fit there, with a couple exceptions, I have winter boots and tall boots and running shoes downstairs in the front closet. But generally speaking, if my shoes don't fit on my shoe rack, I don't need a bigger shoe rack. I need fewer pairs of shoes. So kind of keep that sort of logic in your head, and it can help you from going overboard with anything. And then I have my laundry basket on the floor on the other side, and that's it. So there's also white space on the floor, which really helps. It makes it easier to clean because I'm not trying to move tons of things around. My space isn't super cluttered. It's really, really helpful. And that's pretty much it. I highly recommend getting some sort of bins or baskets, using same color hangers, figuring out what works best for your space, labeling things as you see fit, and keeping in mind that when your stuff exceeds the container or the space that you have to hold it, you don't need a larger space or a larger container, you need less stuff. So think about that. Think about what is still serving you, what you still use. When in doubt, try things on, look in a mirror, ask a friend, whatever that looks like for you, and have fun. Okay, that's it for today, you guys. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. If you have any ideas about other things you would like to hear from me, let me know about that too. I always love hearing from you guys. Have a great day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.